and get started, I'd like to welcome Patrick Cantlay to the interview room here at the WM Phoenix Open. Patrick, thanks for taking a few minutes. It's always nice to have you. You're making your second start and quite the successful first start here last year with the runner-up finish. Just a few comments on being back here for a second time, especially coming off of the strong finish last year.
Yeah, thanks. Course seems to be in great shape. It should be, I think, a little colder this year than last year. Last year, if I remember right, was a little warmer and ideal conditions. So the course, with the greens being firm, may play a little tougher this year, but should be a good test.
Had you, prior to making your first start here last year, had you, I'm guessing, kind of felt it out from other players that have been here to kind of gauge what exactly this event is about? I'm sure you've heard a lot about it. Did it kind of live up to or exceed everything you'd heard about it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this week's a party for everyone except us, and we're at work, which is great. It'd be weird if every event was like this, but it's great that we have events like this, and there's so many people in the area that come out and support the event and have a good time and watch just a little golf.
Okay, yeah, that's all right. One last question, and then we'll take a few questions from you guys. You're making your fourth start of the season, runner-up finish in your first at Shriners, and I guess haven't played since American Express, so a few weeks off. Just kind of bring us up to speed on how you're feeling about your game and what you're confident with.
Yeah, I feel good. Nice to come to a place that I've played well at before, and I'm looking forward to Riv next week to close out the West Coast swing. I always enjoy the West Coast, and yeah, it's nice to be back here and hopefully have a good week.
Okay, well, with that, we'll take a few questions. We've got microphones, so if you'll just pop your hand up, we'll get, okay, start in the back, and then we'll come up here to Gary.
Patrick, there's been a lot of advancements in the TV broadcast recently with CBS doing mid-round interviews. Would that ever be something that you'd be interested in doing?
Yeah, I saw that. That's been great. Probably not something for me, but I think it's great that those guys who want to do it are able to give those insights while they're out there playing.
And same thing with the Netflix show. I noticed you weren't a participant this year. Are you going to watch it? Do you have any interest in doing it next year?
I don't know. I'll see about if I want to do it next year. I haven't watched it yet, so you know, I might take a look at it, but it's not too high on my priority list.
Thank you.
Gary?
You may have been asked this at Amex, but since last season, any significant changes or anything you're working on to get a little bit better, or anything specific, or even equipment changes? Did you change your shoelaces? I don't know.
I recently went up in weight in my shafts in my woods, looking for a little more stability there. I've been swinging the golf club just a little bit faster, and so trying to make sure that I have a little more stable club that I can swing faster.
Have you felt a difference?
Yeah, it definitely tightens up the dispersion a little bit. When I was swinging my best and swinging my fastest, I had a little too much right to left on the golf ball, but I stayed in the same shaft, just went up 10 grams in weight, and it seems to have really taken that left shot out of play.
I don't even know what dispersion means.
Just the windows that your golf ball ends up in.
I'll take your word for it. All right, we'll go in the back corner here.
Patrick, what are you reading right now? And even further than that, do you take whatever you're reading in your free time and either apply it to your game or talk about it when you're on the course? Just how do books kind of play into your time on the golf course? Yeah,
I mean, I've read, like I've said before, I've read Thinking Fast and Slow before, and I think that's helped a lot, not only on the golf course, but just in my everyday life, trying to put things in the proper perspective. And I think seeing things as accurately as you can and not being biased, which I think is a lot of Thinking Fast and Slow, is trying to overcome your inherent bias. And that's golf all day, right? Because your emotions are playing tricks with you, and you feel like certain shots are more important than others when in reality they're maybe not. And there's shots that you feel like are more important depending on the moment, or shots that you feel like you should have hit closer. But if you take a large sample size and try to remove that emotion, you can actually get to the heart of maybe like you can start to pull things out of your round that will help you going forward, instead of getting caught in the spiral of your emotions deciding how you feel about how your performance was.
Right. Oops, right here.
Hey Patrick, I was just wondering if there's like a different feel or buzz to the tournament this week, knowing that the stakes are a little higher this year.
Yeah, I mean, we play a lot of big tournaments. I mean, I feel like this tournament in particular, at least last year was my first year playing it, it felt like one of the biggest events of the year just because there's so many people here. And, today on Tuesday, there's thousands of people out there. It feels like no other practice round that we play all year. So every tournament feels like a big tournament, and with all the people out there, this one feels just a little bigger.
Right here, Chris, and we'll come over to Suzanne.
Hi, Patrick. You led the tour in par 5 scoring last year. I'd love to learn more about what your strategy is on those holes and what works so well for you.
It's a good question. I don't know if I know the answer, because I think most guys that kill the par 5s usually probably hit it farther than I do. But I think driving the golf ball in the fairway is huge, and then really studying the hole location and leaving your golf ball in the correct spot. So I think a lot of times on par 5s, I'm not necessarily trying to get it as close as I possibly can to the hole, but I'm trying to get up as far as I can, even if I'm not going to get to the green, and then also leave myself the proper angle. And so that's doing a lot of the right prep work in practice rounds and really studying the individual hole locations and then figuring out where I think I would get up and down from the most. And then if I can hit the fairway, quite a bit, then I can move my golf ball into the right general area, and I should have a good look at getting up and down, which, the statistics, the last, since they came out with Shot Tracker and strokes gained, I think everyone's maybe been surprised at how much better you get just the closer you get to the hole. So I almost don't ever think of laying up to a number, which is how I learned how to do it from like John Cook and the guys that mentored me when I was growing up. Now it's, can I get the right angle to whatever hole location it is, and can I get it up there as far as possible, and then hopefully in the fairway so I can get some spin on it and control the golf ball and get it around the hole.
Okay, we'll go right here. Then if we could get a microphone to Chris, Suzanne, and then go ahead.
So
Yep.
looking off the course, you have your own foundation and you've been very active in the kind of charitable community. Have you done any events so far this week with waste management?
No events this week, but we had, the season ending of the Patrick Cantlay Foundation series events of the Toyota Tour Cup, which is Southern California SCPGA Junior Golf. And we had the finale in December at the club I grew up at, Virginia Country Club. And so I was out there for a couple days, and that was a great event. And we were really happy to put that on and hope to do that for a number of years.
And what does it mean for you to just have the ability and to just give back?
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, I got a lot out of playing those junior golf tournaments, and I played all over Southern California. My parents would drive me to tournaments on the weekend, and being able to give back and try to elevate those events and maybe incentivize the best players in Southern California to have something to try to qualify for and get into those season-ending Toyota Tour Cup events, I think has been really cool. And, getting to know the kids just at the tournament for a little bit, did a clinic with them, and hearing how appreciative they are just to have the elevated experience of the tournament. And it's something that when I was growing up I would have liked to have seen and played in, and so that's what I'm trying to create with those tournaments, is something that they're excited about, where they show up to the tournament and feel like it's as close to a tour event as it can be.
Thank you.
Okay, over here, and then quick over to Chris.
Hey, Patrick. You and Xander are pretty tight. He's dealing with some back stuff right now. I know you've dealt with some back stuff over the years. Share any healing secrets with him? Has he come to you for any advice on how to deal with it?
I hope his injury is not as severe as mine. I think it's quite a bit different. And so we've chatted about it a little bit, but not too much. He has a good team around him, and I think that's really when I was going through things, just leaning on my team. And ultimately, it's just down to you. How do you feel, and what are the things that you can do to just kind of get the pain to go away? And so hopefully he seems like he's doing better, and hopefully, it didn't hinder his play. He's making twos on par fives and stuff. So, I mean, hopefully he keeps playing well.
All right, Chris, and then if you'll pass it down to Suzanne. Sure.
Patrick, 5 of the last 7 events here have gone to playoffs. What is it about the course, specifically the last 4 holes, that lends itself so much to the drama?
Yeah, I think that's probably just a statistical anomaly. I doubt that there's anything to the golf course making that happen, but it definitely provides drama down the stretch with 15, which I think is a huge risk-reward hole, and we've seen plenty of guys make decisions there or have to make decisions there in the fairway, which is exciting. And then 16, a pretty vanilla hole, but not this week. And 17 is a hole that you feel like you should birdie every time, but it's a little more difficult than that. In 18, you better drive the golf ball in the fairway. So I think those 4 holes are a great finish and should provide some drama almost every year.
Quick follow-up on that. 16, how do you approach 16 because you're so reflective to play it successfully? And then I have one more question for you.
Yeah, I think, it's just a short iron par 3. And depending on the hole location, there's some more difficult ones in the back that I try to stay a little short of. And the other ones just to the fat side and, as close as I can. Hopefully you walk up to the tee and get a good number.
And another quick question because of your experience at UCLA, and I know you appreciate the GC Thomas courses. What are your thoughts on LA North being the U.S. Open site this year?
Yeah, it should be exciting. It's a golf course I've played a number of times. We played in college. I was there for 2 years at UCLA, and so I'm very familiar with the golf course, and I never thought when I was playing back then that they would ever have a U.S. Open there. But it should be exciting. I'm really looking forward to it.
So you have a home course advantage, do you think?
We'll see. I mean, usually how the USGA sets it up, it's totally different than it's ever played before. So, but yeah, I do feel comfortable around that place.
Matt. All right, we're going to go right here, and then we'll go back here, and then we're going to finish up in the back.
You touched on 17. Could you discuss your strategy, if you do go for it, and if so, when, or if it's better to lay up, or how do you approach that one?
Straight down.
I think 17, you try and get it to about the front fringe every day. If you could have it right in that short gully, just short of the green, almost in the middle of the green, just over that bunker, I think that's the best place to play to all the hole locations. And whether that's a driver or 3-wood just depends on the time of day or the wind.
Okay, Adam, and then if you'll pass it right behind you.
Following up on one of your earlier answers about the CBS question, why is doing the interview not for you? And do you feel like you're an outlier in that situation, or do you feel you're in the majority that feels that way?
I'm not sure how the majority would feel. I'm curious to see how many guys decide to do it. For me, I just feel like I'm so focused on what I'm doing when I'm out there that I don't want or need any other distractions. And so, for some guys, that may be exactly what they want to do. But for me, I think I just want to focus on the golf while I'm out there.
Did somebody recommend that book to you that you talked about earlier, or just come across yourself?
Yeah, a doctor at Virginia recommended it to me, and I'm glad he did. He always has good book recommendations.
Okay.
You go
We have
right-
one more?
Yeah,
Awesome,
go for it.
sorry. Talking about 16, John Rahm said that you either love it or hate it. There's no in between. Which are you?
I love it. I think it's cool that you could step up there and freeze it in there and make everyone go nuts and make a birdie. And like I said, if it was every week, it would maybe get a little old. But the novelty of it being 1 week out of the year and one hole out of the year, I think it's all right.
Hey, Patrick. I apologize if this has already been asked. When John was up here earlier, he was talking about how the elevated events now have allowed him to pick and choose his travel a little bit easier than in the past and which tournaments he wants to play in. Is that the case for you? And kind of before the elevated events, how tough was it to pick your schedule for a year?
Yeah, I actually like picking my schedule. Haven't had too much trouble with it. Fortunately, it seems like a lot of the elevated events have already been on my schedule in years past. I think that's just lucky that it worked out that way. But I've always liked it. I tend to play and go to tournaments that I've played well at and golf courses that I like, and that seems to be the biggest factor for me. So, I've found, the rotation of golf courses that I like, and I tend to pick and play those tournaments each and every year.
Yeah, with the Super Bowl being here at the same time as this year's tournament, what do you think about the crowds, how it might be different from last year, and then who do you have in the game?
Yeah, I think Saturday should be busier than last year's Saturday, but Sunday I think should be actually a little more chilled out than last Sunday. I think last time I was talking to somebody that had been here the last time the Super Bowl was here, and Sunday was very mellow compared to usual. I think I'm not sure who's going to win the game. I mean, Chiefs look good, and they have looked good for the last couple of years, so I'll go with them.
And Daniel.
You told us in Hawaii that you were in the market for a clothing sponsor. What's the update on that, and what are you doing also from an equipment standpoint? Are you still testing out a bunch of stuff, or where have you landed on that issue?
Yeah, like I said earlier, I changed some shafts, just 10 grams heavier in my woods. Other than that, everything's pretty much the same, and still wearing Bead Ratty at the moment, and it's good. I like it.
Boom.
All right. Well, Patrick, we appreciate your time as always, and we'd love to see you right back here Sunday.
All right. Thanks, Doug.
Thank you.